to be great, but they don't always start off with the confidence to be great. And the difference between those who succeed and those who don't is the ability to believe in yourself and not be defined by your color or your gender. Years ago, Cecily Tyson gave a speech, believe it or not, on Emory at Glenn Memorial. And when she spoke, the thing that I still remember 25, 30 years later was her saying, I get up in the morning, I brush my teeth, I wash my face, I comb my hair, I have my breakfast, I talk to my husband and children, and I don't get greeted with the fact that I'm alive until I walk outside my door. She says the only thing that limits me is the world's perception of me, and then I feel the impact. Stop it. Keep that flow going that you have in the morning from when you wake up and you feel that the world and the day has endless possibilities. And figure out what you're going to do there. And don't say, well, because I'm a woman, I can't compete for this contract. Or because they never given it to a woman, I can't do this. Or because I'm black. I'm here to tell you, I've got a witness in the room, one of the mentors and mentees I've had is Karen. She can tell you, I became president of the state bar of Georgia, which oversees all of 50,000 lawyers in Georgia, of which a tiny fraction are African American, and an even tinier percentage of us, like fractions of percentage, are women of color. But I don't live my life that way. I said, okay, someone said that we think that we need more women involved and engaged. I stood up and took part and became and showed out to be the leader I am. Not the leader I am because I'm a woman, not the leader I am because I'm a person of color, but the leader I am because that's who I am inside. Believe in yourself inside and you'll be able to focus your energies toward where you're trying to go. So I want you to, first of all, eliminate all of the perceived stereotypes that you think hinder you from going after what you want to do. Secondly, I want you to focus on what are your skill sets. What are your skill sets? Not what you want. I don't sing and I don't dance. That is extreme. I do dance, but I'm not going to make a living out of being a ballerina. So what are your skills? Are you a good salesperson? Are you a good marketing person? Are you a good relationship builder? Are you a good widget maker? Are you a good baker? Are you a good candy maker? What are your skills? And then try to leverage your skill set into what you want to do. If you are doing something now that you don't want to do for the rest of your life, then stop. Stop, you're wasting time. Focus your time and your energies on things you do well, that give you joy, give you passion. And I want to tell you, one of the things I've learned as I've gone through life is that you can still have passion in nonprofit areas and make money too. And you can make money first, that allows you to have more time for passion. Give more money away. I didn't realize I did it the opposite way. So I learned the life lesson. I am very engaged in nonprofit community. I'm the chair of Jose and Feed the Hungry. I've been on that board for 20 years because I believe in feeding people and housing people and not walking away from people because they have their hands out. But that's not how I earn my living. I told you about what I do. My skill set is in managing legal business. I know that. And I'm happy every day when I do it for the Lord because I can do that. So if you remove the barriers to you being successful in your mind, the mental barriers, you focus on your skill set, you identify what it is you want to do, then you go after it. You go after it. You don't let anybody stop you. You find out how to do it. How do you get to be the managing broker of a real estate firm? How do you get to be the president of a marketing company? What do you do? And I'm going to tell you what it is. It's a little different than all what you find printed in paper. It's about the relationships you build along the way. It's about the opportunities you get a chance to take advantage of and don't be scared of. Men will go where women won't go when an opportunity is presented. You say, oh, no, this is risky, I don't know what I'm gonna do, I don't know how to go. So, just look at it, does it advance you along the plan that you put into motion? Jump forward, take a leap, go out on faith. Those of you who are religious people, pray about it. God sends more things to you than you can ever want to dream about. But if you set up on yourself this plan, you can get to where you want to go. But the first thing you have to do is conquer your own mental, just mental inabilities. I can't do. I won't be given a chance. I won't be able to be seen as someone who can do it. If you have the ability, you can set it. If you don't know how to sell yourself, find a friend who talks a lot. You can sell people. You don't have to be the A through Z of all the resources, but you need to take charge and responsible for you and what you want to do in your career in order to guide yourself down in the lane.
Thank you so much for that. It was very empowering. I was feeling it up here, so I'm really confident everybody out there was also feeling it. And we thank you so much for that. So next up, our next panelist, we have Yolina Gray. Yolina is passionate about empowering communities and elevating their quality of life. She joined the Reinvestment Fund after a decade as an economic development professional, serving her community in the Chicago region. She's a board member of the Georgia Social Impact Collaborative, board chair of the Incremental Developmental Alliance, and the 2020 Next City Vanguard. She has a Master of Urban Planning and Policy degree from the University of Illinois, Chicago, and an MBA from Emory Business School.
I didn't know if I sent you my long bio or not, just like you were gonna leave.
Oh.
So my name is Yolina. I'm a very proud graduate from the evening program here at Emory. I graduated in 2019 and professor that fall was my major accounting professor, very challenging course, but wound up being the course that I rely on to reference the most in my professional full circle moment for me. I'm incredibly proud about what this means for a room like this to be happening on campus. As Patrice noted, if you are familiar with the institution, especially its modern day impact, things like this don't happen at Emory. Many of us move in and out of Emory, but it is a difficult challenge. My class has had 110 people. In my cohort, there were 6 Black people in my class. Coming from Chicago, I assumed that it was gonna be like, I thought it was gonna be super Black. I thought we were gonna talk about. I know. I don't think we were gonna talk about civil rights. I thought we were gonna be shaking it up. I'm not a broader social impact advocate. I thought that was going to be the flavor and the culture of this institution. I learned the hard way, not what Emory was. And so it means so much that even Mama's role exists, that we are normalizing these conversations, that we are normalizing seeing each other. Because when we leave this room, we know that we are going to spaces that will look. This is a special moment for all of us, probably for the rest of the year. We don't operate in spaces like this. And so oftentimes we wind up having to sort of clean it up, tighten it up, figure out how to code switch so that we can navigate this space. And so what I want to talk to you today is about allowing ourselves to not do that anymore, because I think we all have experienced that. A little bit about my background and why I'm doing this work. As I noted, I'm from Chicago. I don't know, if you know much about Chicago. It is on paper the most segregated city in our country. And what that means is, as the first person in my family born outside of housing projects in the city of Chicago, the opportunities that I've been able to experience as distinct from my cousins
are incredible. You may see really bad things about crime in Chicago public schools, but just because the neighborhood I grew up in, my entire trajectory is different. I'm sitting here before you because my mother was brave enough to move out of the hood and take us to places where we were very uncomfortable, just so that I could go to a better public school, which is really unfortunate. And I carry a lot of guilt about that. And I think all of you can relate to that. Having that guilt associated with making, because most of our families aren't big, but it is incumbent upon us to be really thoughtful about how we use that agency and how we show up. And most importantly, I'm going to talk to you today about how we show up in spaces that don't look like this and be a little bit closer, or maybe a lot closer, to our authentic self. And we should be able to honor the thought leadership and lived experiences of ourselves and our families so that we can be bold leaders for social impact. So that's what I'm going to talk to you a little bit about today, and that's what I do. To give you a little bit of context, the work that I do is in the finance space. So I work for a sector that is really focused on providing debt capital to real estate developers who are creating real estate projects in communities that traditional banks would say are too risky. And typically we are conflating risk and uncertainty and racism, and there's a lot in it. But the work that I do is really about identifying opportunities for partnership with real estate developers who are doing transformative things to help elevate the quality of life for the people and places like my family who are left behind. And so one of the things I'm most proud of right now is having launched a new vertical to support historically Black colleges and universities. We do a lot of work around supporting the development of grocery stores, instances of food deserts, and on and on and on. And through that work, what I'm most proud of as the director of external relations is thinking about how to amplify the voices of people who are not at the table so that we are not talking at them, but we are gathering their insights to help improve their communities so that their kids have opportunities like the one that my mom had to work really hard to pursue for her children. So what I've learned over the past couple of years, I think for all of us, it's been sort of eye-opening, and we've had some quiet moments to really think about how we can be introspective and refine our approach to leadership. So let me tell you a little bit about what that's looked like for me. I've learned that leadership is within all of us, even as we are experiencing imposters. So I think most of us, I'm just going to speak for y'all, have experienced or thought that we were experiencing imposters. What do we do with that? How crippling is that? I may have shared with you, Professor, that there were times when I left class and I was crying because I felt like I didn't belong in this class. And for those of you who sat in an Emory classroom, I'm just gonna go ahead and speak for you and say you had the same experience. But how do we turn that and really think about and sort of interrogate that, think about what that really is? And oftentimes for women who look like us, it's not imposter syndrome. There's been bias and exclusion that you're trying to overcome just to absorb the content. So when we change that, we can recognize that it is not that. Because what I hear now from my classmates is that they thought I was a leader. Meanwhile, I thought I was struggling, and I didn't know that what I was saying was negative. So I want to encourage you to rethink and reframe that experience and recognize that the fact that you may be one of the only Black person in the room, the only woman of color in the room, that in and of itself is special. Another thing I've learned is that social norms, those are dynamic social agreements that we should be interrogated every single. And there's space for us to renegotiate those. And it doesn't mean that you're pushing, it doesn't mean that you're difficult, but you are worthy of your again, lived experience is valuable. So you should be thinking about, does this serve me or the people who I know are not in this room? And how might I ask some questions to really push against that? Because when you really think about, and I'm just going to keep pointing to Emory University because that's where we're sitting. Emory University is just as excited about those opportunities as we are about in Emory University. Emory University needs this room and needs this perspective and needs Amma and her role. It's not one, it is absolutely two ways. I really want to encourage you to think about that. And as you move into spaces where you may be experiencing discomfort, speak up and share that and ask questions about what the end is. Because I guarantee you that oftentimes, unfortunately, folks are they're excluding us because they're just not attuned to it. It's not always malicious. It's oftentimes they just don't know. And another thing is that racial
inequity and inclusion are around all of us. Keyword, all of us, including me. One of the things my sort of George Floyd moment was recognizing that even me, someone who has unfortunately probably overvalued the extent to which I can move through white spaces easily, there's still stuff that I'm dealing with too that maybe I've normalized or sort of hidden away just to get through. And when I recognize that, it makes me a better ally for the Black community. It makes me a better mentor, and it makes me a better, more outspoken advocate. Instead of getting focused on the fact that white people like me, because a lot of times that's to the exclusion and that's sort of damaging for the rest of us, and we really want to get free. So I think all of us can sort of, I won't go into it, but y'all are shaking your heads. I know you can't. I'll close on this. So my commitment to myself as a result of some of the eye-opening revelation and my invitation to you is bold leadership for social impact and racial equity. And I recognize, especially as women of color and Black women, we are oftentimes navigating the tightrope of being bold, being outspoken, we don't want to come off, right? So how do we do that? So really quickly, we should ask questions and really listen to the answers, either of leaders or of the folks that we're aiming to serve for an to amplify the authentic voices of those who are not at the table, and sometimes that's yourself. You're not showing up as your authentic self. So really think about that. Who am I showing up as? Who am I trying to be? And who am I leaving behind by doing so? Gather support from a diverse set of leaders. I think one of the most interesting articles that I read this year was by Harvard Business Review, and it said that no matter what, for Black women, despite your academics, your competence, how well liked you are, the number one indicator for your ability to move up in a corporate space is your ability to identify a white male sponsor. It's heartbreaking, but it's true. So we have to figure out how to navigate and sort of be an appropriate network of folks to help us and to not be don't have pride, too much pride to ask for help. And then lastly, I'll say, you have to take control of your visibility. We know that we are walking a tightrope between hyper visibility, which oftentimes turns into tokenism, to playing it safe and shrinking the game. We have to be thoughtful about that. We need to ask for help about that. And we need to figure out how we want to show up and take control. If you want to put my face on your website, we need to talk about something. You want me to always be on the panel because my hair looks like this, we got to talk about that. And that's okay. So I just, in closing, have some dialogue later. Really want to encourage all of you to lean into your own leadership and think about what that means in terms of impact you are making on others around you for the sake of social equity, racial impact. Thank you.
Melina, thank you for that. As you noticed, there were a lot of Our next speaker is Charmaine Davis. Charmaine Davis is an experienced policy strategist, facilitator, and organizer. She has worked as a community organizer in Project Go Florida, the Georgia State Director for 9 to 5, the National Association for Working Women, and she currently serves as the Southeast Regional Administrator for the Department of Labor and Women's Bureau. She successfully led the efforts to get the Family Care Act signed into law and get Atlanta to remove criminal background questions from the city employment applications. Okay. Charmaine was a BA in both political science and African American studies from the Ohio State University.
So good morning, everyone. I am extremely honored to be here with you today. And I want to begin my talk by sharing some stats that might be a little jarring and shocking to you. So I'll ask, did you know that 84% of experts who are cited on Sunday morning political shows are men? Did you know that 90% of top Hollywood producers and directors are men? Did you know that 76% of tenured faculty at our top universities are men? And did you know over 70% of members of Congress are men? And so I shared these stats with you to clearly illuminate who is influencing our public policy, our public opinion, our culture, the films, the movies, the television shows that we watch. They're men for the most part. But I want to talk with you today, yes, they are. But I want to talk with you today about how do we step into being women of influence, right? How do we amplify our voices? And not only our voices, as I said, amplify the voices of other women, right? And today I want to specifically talk to you about becoming a thought leader. And so I want to do a quick level set and just read you a quick definition of what a thought leader is, so that we're all on the same page. So thought leaders are the informed opinion leaders and go-to people in their field of expertise. They drive public policy, shape public opinion, transform culture. So I want to ask you, and I want one or two of you to respond. Who are the thought leaders in our culture today? Right? Who's influencing how we think about politics and gender roles and relationships, how we do business, how we think about the way that we worship, right? Who are those thought leaders? Let me hear one or two names. And they can be men or women, but who's influencing entertainment? Who's the leading thought leader in business? Over one person, yeah. Let me hear one more. Diddy and Elon Musk? Exactly. You know, when I think of entertainment, I think of the Beyoncé, the Rihannas of the world. So many singers trying to emulate their voice, copy their edgy style. Elon Musk, everybody from Hyundai to Ford, whoever, everyone electric vehicles now. These are the thought leaders. These are the people who are coming up with innovative ideas. And so I want to share with you just why it's so extremely important and powerful to become a thought leader. When you are a thought leader in your industry, you become the go-to person. You're setting the trends. You're setting the industry standards. When you are an entrepreneur and you're a thought leader, you're the business that people want to seek out, right? There's a lot of businesses that are offering very similar services to Amazon, but if I ask this room, how many of you have Amazon Prime memberships, nearly everybody's hand is gonna go up. And if I ask how many of you have received a package from Amazon in the last month, many of your hands are gonna go up. But there's other businesses offering the same services, but that's what it means to be a thought leader in your industry. When you're the executive director of a nonprofit or working for an advocacy organization, when you do the work to position yourself as a thought leader, you're the organization that foundations and funders want to give to, because they know that you're driving innovative ideas, you're approaching the work differently. So that's the power of you positioning yourself to become a thought leader. So at this point, you may say, like, okay, this sounds good. How do I become a thought leader? So I want to quickly just talk through with you about what are the steps that you can take. The first, as I like to say, the first next step to take to becoming a thought leader. So I know in this room, there's women with many different backgrounds, right? We're all in different seasons of our lives. So I first want to talk to the young professional, then talk to a more seasoned woman, and then talk to those who are entrepreneurs about what is the first next step that you can take to become a thought leader in your industry, in your field. So first, for the young professional, those of you who are maybe recent graduates, been out of school for maybe 5 or less years, what is the first step that you can take to position yourself as a thought leader? Well, when you're thinking about it, becoming a thought leader as a young professional, it can catapult your career, right? It causes you to be the one that people are looking at as the rising star, because you're the one coming up with these different, innovative ideas. You're the one speaking up at the meeting and saying, maybe we should approach the work this way. But some of the things you can do first to position yourself is identify your niche or your niche, depending on how you want to say it, right? But you need to identify what is the area that you want to be the expert in, that you want to be the go-to person. And then from there, it doesn't just happen, right? It's not just, oh, I'm going to build a brand on Instagram and post a cute picture or whatever. No, you have to do the work. Like once you say, I want to be an expert in this area, you have to study, you have to invest in yourself. You have to learn about whatever area you're seeking to grow in knowledge. You have to make the investment of going to conferences and summits, learning, right? Then once you learn, once you study, once you put in that work, you need to do and you need to apply yourself. Because it's not enough just to have the head knowledge, but what are you doing to apply what you're learning? So for me, in my twenties as a young community organizer, I definitely said I want to focus in on, and I want to be the go-to person when it came to how race and gender intersect, especially when it comes to economic issues. Well, in doing that, I couldn't just read the new Jim Crow, right, and figure out, okay, this is the impact on the criminal justice system. I started volunteering for criminal justice reform organizations. And I started organizing women to actually lead campaigns. I think in my bio, we mentioned, I helped to organize them in the city of Atlanta to launch a ban box campaign. That's the campaign to get that box eliminated off of employment applications regarding your criminal record. That was a woman-led campaign in 2011. That was before State Her Name. That was before the wide popularity of Black Lives Matter. It was before criminal justice became the cool policy that everybody was on board with, right? So you have to do the work. It's not enough just to read and study. So that's advice to the young professionals. To those of you who are more seasoned, right? You've been in your field for over 10 years. At this point, you need to step confidently into your level of expertise, right? If I was asked now, how many of you are experts? Who feels confident enough to put their hand up? Oh, I love it. I love it. A lot of times when I ask that question, people hesitate and they don't want to own their expertise. As a seasoned professional, you have to look back at what have you been doing for 10+ years that makes you an expert in that field. And then at that point, you have to invest in others, right? You can use, or you can become a thought leader and generate extra income for yourself by becoming a coach, by becoming a consultant, pouring into others. And from there, when you're mentoring, when you're coaching, you can then start pitching the organization for you to be the keynote speaker or to be a panelist. Now, I would suggest build a relationship with that organization instead of just pitching to the organization. Because it makes a difference when you go in cold and you're like, I've never attended any of the meetings that you host, any of the events that you host, but I want to be a panelist. That rubs me the wrong way. But as a seasoned professional, that's how you can begin to grow your influence platform. And then lastly, I'll speak to the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneur, positioning yourself as a thought leader, it will greatly help you with marketing. It's free marketing, essentially, and growing your clientele. So as an entrepreneur, you need to determine, what does my business do better than any other or unlike me? What is the unique experience that my customers have working with me that they don't have working with someone else? And you need to share it, right? Once you determine this is my niche, this is what I do well as a business owner, put it out there. Share your expertise. It can be in the form of a podcast, YouTube channel, op-ed. Op-eds are really easy entry points. In 2015, that's when I started writing a lot of op-eds with the intersection of race and gender. For example, and I'll close really quickly, as an entrepreneur, let's say you're an interior designer and you're trying to build your business and your clientele. You could pitch an op-ed. If you go back to 2020, when a lot of people were spending time in their homes, if you were an interior decorator and designer, you could easily pitch an op-ed in a lifestyle section of the newspaper, saying just how interior design impacts your mental health, the different colors. And that would get picked up easily, and your business would have been in local newspapers all over your city. That's free marketing, that's drawing in clientele. You can do that in whatever field, right? Most of the people who are op-ed writers, they're men, they're not us, but you can change that. So I just want to end by encouraging you all, don't question your level of expertise. Don't question the amount of influence you potentially have. Step into that, walk in it confidently, and I encourage you all to consider becoming thought leaders in your field.
Thank you for that, Charmaine. I feel like we all see that message, even our souls, and everybody that we talk about, student professionals, our young professionals, that we really touch on everybody. So appreciate you for that. So our final panelist who's going to close us out is Dr. Danette O'Neill. Dr. O'Neill is an author, educator, alumna, entrepreneur, trainer, and owner of Danette O'Neill Realtors. Dr. O'Neill uses her extensive experience in real estate to help nonprofits expand their missions. She holds a PhD in public policy and administration and a master's in public administration from Auburn University. as well as an MA in Community and Economic Development from Southern New Hampshire University. She is also a volunteer interpreter for the deaf and serves as chair of the Professional Development Committee of the National Association of Realtors. Welcome, Dr. Mooney.
Thank you. I was being last, I had the privilege of listening to each presenter and imagining how they got their foot in that door that led to the next door. So I've been a part of VR, I think maybe about 2011. And I have leveraged every minute of it. I entered hungry, wanting information. I thought I was, but every time I reached another milestone, I realized that how much I was growing. So I put a little presentation together, and this is going to be available to you. There's a hashtag created, and you go to we site, you'll be able to download it and probably use it inside of your organization. But it's called leveraging the power of the network. That's what we have here. Now, your network may be the Jack and Jill Club, it may be the faculty at the business school, it may be my Alpha Kappa Alpha, it may be it may be the Rotary Club, whatever that is, or it may be VR, right here, right? And so there are some points that I want to give that when you enter the network, what does network do? They strengthen business connection. You have to think about sharing, not taking. It's a place where you can get fresh ideas, strengthen your profile, enhance your career, get access to job opportunities, career opportunities, contracts, right, Sheila? Gain more knowledge, get career advice and support, and build confidence. And I want to take those apart in this minute, okay? And so number one, strengthen your business connection. When I enter the room, I'm going to get something. Even though I was coming here to speak today, I came with the attitude of what I was going to learn and who I was going to meet. I met a girl all the way up. We walked together, and so I was like, what did you do? Yeah, she told me, she did, well, I'm in small business development and I create opportunities. I'm like, whoa, I said, well, we have to change business cards because she's somebody that I'm going to meet in my near future, like right now. Okay. Number two, get fresh ideas. There are some things that are in the back of my head, some things I need to think of, some things that you may have a talent for that someone else is doing and they may need help doing it. But the exchange of information is good. It's a place where we can be vulnerable. Who can you tell at the end of the month if you run out of money because your contract didn't get paid? But your peers, okay? And we can learn from that. You know, and then you exchange. Remember, it's about giving and not taking, but the exchange is that you get those that help too. The third thing, I love this one, you raise your profile by being in a network. You gain visibility for yourself and your business. So I have these ideas in my head, and one of my master theses, I had actually written a book. And because it dealt with children, I couldn't use all of it with the IRB, the stopping me, etc. But sitting down with that information, one day someone came into the office. I happened to be working with Antoinette and Marianne on something else, and they started talking to us about the process of writing a book. I tell you, from that meeting, I went into a hibernation for 2 weeks. The first book was put out. It made it to the bestseller list. Money Matters 101. It got adopted in the public school system because it teaches ages 8 to 18 how money works. It's a smart money guy. From there, went to second book. That one got adopted for junior achievement, etc. But that came out of a meeting. I was in the right place, hungry to learn, and then those skills transferred. Then we started doing workshops to tell other people how to write books and get them published and self-published and make them look good. Like they came off of one of those, the CPN Schuler, and one of those big things, right. Shot, right. The name is so big, I have trouble. Number 4, it gives a network
gives you a chance to advance your career, okay? Being visible, we talked about that, being visible, getting noticed, but you have to regularly attend and get involved. Some of these networks have subcommittees that you can apply your skills, and it doesn't really take that long. Many people don't get involved because you think you don't have time. We do. We do, and especially if you're hungry to learn, you're building a face-to-face reputation about what you do, your skill level, what you already own, how you can get access to someone else. Number 5, it gives you access to job opportunities, contracts, huh? That was something that I learned at VI. I own a real estate firm, the Netherlands Realtors up in 2 states. I work very hard. You heard me talk about the books, okay? I also write for higher ed. But some of those things don't pay good money, and it doesn't pay good money consistently. And so I needed to get in a federal contracting state where I could use my gifts and have people come after me. That's what that network helped me to do. And then I met other women that was in that contracting space that was looking for people like me. They may have gotten a contract, but they needed the technical writing skills. But somebody will write for online learning, etc. And so don't forget that many of these opportunities are not advertised. Okay, so they're looking for us, or they may have just been in a board meeting and mentioned something, and I'm like, yeah, I got you. You know, number 6, you gain more knowledge. Okay, think of it as the internet connected. You know how the Olympic ring? That's how we are in the network. It's and so a lot of people overlook that benefit. You have to keep your eye open. Here's one thing that I learned. I connect with my peers, especially I look for them on social media, and because I want to know what they're doing. And so I comment on their articles. I congratulate them. And it's not just to patronize them. They're actually doing good things, but they need to be noticed by their peers. Because sometimes people, a lot of smart people are called secret agents. And that nobody catches on the back. You might say, good job, you did that thing. And so you get a chance to say good job because you really understood what it took to put that presentation together, the nerve that it took to actually get up there, the climb that they had to get to even get to that particular stage. Number 7, you get good career advice and support. It's a place where we can be vulnerable. It's a place that we can discuss common challenges that we may have and get genuine assistance from that network. Number 8, it's a chance to build confidence. We have a lot of smart entrepreneurs, but they may not know how to present well at a mic. All right, or they may be too shy, or I don't talk. But it's a chance that you can do that through the networking, through talking to other people. Number 9, you really gain a different perspective of what you do when you meet other people doing the same or have climbing the same ladder. It's so easy for us to get caught up in our day-to-day operations, especially those of us who are entrepreneurs. Most of us are the chief cook and the bottle yeah. And we spend a lot of time doing activities that don't earn us income and don't give us visibility. So the network pushes those things forward, and again, I mentioned there are always activities going on all month long where we learn from each other and we connect even outside of we go to lunch, we talk. I can get on the phone at 11 o'clock at night and say, I know you are. I have this problem, and by 5 a.m. the next morning, my problem is there. Where's my problem out all day? Okay, and say, hey, I have a solution for you. You can get your questions answered. You get access, SBA loans, other initiatives, other conferences. So the network doesn't just stay with you. It goes like this. And number 10, it gives you an opportunity to develop long-lasting personal. Now the business has turned into personal relationship. When I get to the room, and I learned this from another VI member, when I get to the door and I see a network like this, I don't always go to a familiar face. Now today, a familiar face was standing there, and that was Louise the Shepherd. Okay, and so I greeted her, but I immediately, I surveyed the room, to see people in there who I don't know, and I go to that person, hi, I'm Dr. O'Neill, how are you? And we strike up a conversation, we need to do that more. Amy Cuddy has a book, if anybody know, have Amy Cuddy's book on present? She talks about, and it was on the bestseller list, Amy Cuddy, C-U-D-D-Y, and the book is called Present. She talks about the posture that we have when we're in meetings, when we're networking, etc. You know, when to cross your legs, when to lean forward, when to lean back. What do those messages tend to be? How do you say, I'm animated because I'm an interpreter for the deaf, so it goes along, that's my ministry, so it goes along with it. Plus, I think I'm hyper anyway. But what do people see? Do they see, she's the hyperactive, she needs some rhythm? What do people, because if I had my choice, I would be down, and then I thought about is if the camera is on, so I couldn't walk and talk to you this morning. And so that the power of the network gives you that comfortability, you know, to be able to, I was less nervous today because I was with my peers. Okay, and I'm gonna gain some friends from this relationship too. And so the networks give you an opportunity to something else like-minded people, but you have to leverage that. You just don't pay your dues to Atlanta business meeting and don't go. You have to leverage that opportunity. All right, and so this could be a little mini workshop, a lot of points in here that I couldn't do because short time, I'll give you all a chance to ask some questions, etc. But remember, leverage the power of the network. What did you come here for? Leverage the power of the network. We would like to move into question and discussion. So I have lots of questions personally. That would really like to into the audience. So if you have any questions, would you like to stand up? Just please just make sure that you're audible so we can hear you. That's yep.
Hi, good morning, Austin. I'm graduated from 2013. I really appreciated this because certainly I stayed for school year and I also served on the diversity committee for all of the students and also for a few years after. That was not on the radar, so this is really beautiful. But my question to you all is so interesting to hear you talk about these frontiers and how to achieve and surpass them. I wondered about the dark periods though. What do you see in terms of how we are able to navigate, you know, through the network, but also beyond code switching and so forth, with the variety of different pitfalls that will also assail us as we move our careers?
Excellent question. We've all had dark times. I think, in the last couple of years, I think in the fight of COVID, to me, I've tried to turn inward to reevaluate my values so that I can have a set of pillars to help me have a reference. So that is really helpful for me. I also turned to therapy, which is also really helpful on that front, again, to just help me have some values. I've worked with an executive coach, and those things have produced, again, what I would just say sort of pillars or guardrails that have helped me to better articulate some boundaries and goals for myself, because inevitably there will be tough times, inevitably you will start to question yourself and wonder, am I doing the right thing? So having those as a guidepost has been incredibly helpful.
First thing is to acknowledge that it is a dark time. Black women are notorious for wanting to smile through pain, smile through depression, smile through frustration. But to acknowledge that it does exist and everybody suffers from it is one of the best things you can do for yourself. The other one is also to have a really good friend, be it a sister, your mother, your best friend, line sister, I don't care, that you can reach out to and be honest with. Because sometimes a little momentary depression, frustration, disdain, etc., can get to be really serious. And if you don't have that lifeline out there, who can help you monitor the degree, you might end up having some tragic results. But counselors are always good if you have that access. But definitely have a good somebody to talk to and acknowledge it. It comes with a package that's labeled human being, not super.
So I agree and echo everything that's already been said, and I'll add to it, when I talk about becoming a thought leader, you're positioning yourself to be in the forefront. You're not just parroting thoughts that have come before. And so you may be presenting something that's controversial and outside of the box. And so you just have to mentally prepare yourself for the rejection, because it will come. The gaslighting, it will come. Just be prepared for it. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why am I saying this? Why am I doing this? Why do I have this level of commitment? I'll often say we become self-conscious because we're being too conscious of ourselves. So you need to flip it and start thinking about the people that you were sent to serve, the people that you do your work for, and cling to that, and that'll help you to get through the times when people are telling you. I shared with you before, organizing Black women in the city of Atlanta to do criminal justice reform at a time when it was thought of as a Black and brown male issue. I remember talking to a funder and she told me, this is not a women's issue. That's it. But I endured that because I knew this is why I'm doing this work. So I would say get grounded in why you do the work that you do. And just be prepared for rejection, for gaslighting, all of that is going to come. It's just a part of it.
I believe you're gonna have to start tuning your own horn, okay? And use your gifts and your talents to develop other streams of income for you. So we're moving to a cashless society. How will that affect your business? All right, and so it's good to have a business plan, but I probably redo mine every quarter. Sometimes it changes with the people that I meet. Sometimes it changes with the contract and how I need to divide my time. But I've already prepared my company for the cryptocurrency coming on. All right, I've already prepared our company to go totally paperless. And so we use technology. And so look at your gifts and your talents and look and see how you can leverage that to create some multiple streams of income and tell the people what you do well. Who else is gonna tell them? Okay, we were taught to be modest. Oh, did you pay that trees? Oh, no, I used to sew. No, teach your heart. Yes, I sew. I sew very, very well. And I got to, I'm building my business back. It could be any gift and talent that you have. Start who you want. Social media is free now. I save so much money that I don't have to buy billboards. So I just talk about that people and what we're doing on social media. Right? And expose those talents that not only me, but the people that are coming. And then,
Hi, I'm Shepherd. Question for you. I know I'm in the States, but just for the audience, how do you know when you are an expert in the field? Because I hear it all around, because we never know when folks, I wouldn't say we arrive, but how do you know when you're expert? When you're talking, because I think we always push the ball saying, and diminish our expertise in a lot of ways. So how do we know when we've reached that certain point of that?
just to repeat the question is, how do you know when you are an expert in the field, correct?
Correct.
Juanita, I don't think you ever arrived at some humility so that God can continue to use us, but you do gain confidence. All right, and in all that we do, there should always be a moment when you think about what can I give back? What can I bring other people into? We talked about the way we look, and so 2 weeks ago I was in Chicago, and I didn't have time to get to my face my hair, so my hair was like, that's long, and I'm like, I panicked because I knew the audience, and I said, I can't go in there with your hair. I was worried that they weren't going to receive. All right, and so I was worried that I was gonna have to talk more to increase my credibility. So now I was able to get it done. But that haunted me, that the fact that it haunted me, okay? And so I don't think we ever arrive. There's always going to be the little voices. There are some doors that I get into because I am there. But I make a promise to myself to reach back and get people who don't look like me, that's in my race, that's qualified, and push them forward to succeed me. And that, you know, that's what I do because you know me, but that's what I do.
Yeah, I would build on that, you know, all of us are still growing, we're still learning. The thing is, you have the ability to teach someone something. So go with that, and then when you kind of do an assessment, if there's an area that you see, I didn't feel confident speaking about that, then you have to invest in yourself and grow there. So that's really what it is, experts, they don't know everything, but they just make a commitment that I'm gonna share what I do know, and what I don't know, I'm gonna make the investment to learn and become more competent in it.
I would say even simpler than that. I think both of your answers were fantastic. We know people who are not experts for our organization. And that's not people who look like us. Or how we are so hard on ourselves. We have to read the entire encyclopedia before we step out. And that's just, we need to stop doing that. I do that as well. So really, you just have to decide. I feel good about my ownership and my thought leadership. And it will continue to evolve. It doesn't mean that you have to have a full command. It doesn't mean you have nothing else to learn. It just means I value what I have to say, and you're going to pay for it. Here.
Morning. My name is Camille Richardson, and everything that you all said that really resonates with me. I have an added layer from the, from a networking perspective. And one thing you all see focus line. So there's that other layer that is out there. So listening to this really would resonate with that networking part. And I'm also. So my question to you is, as an entrepreneur, being the expert in my field, which is diversity and inclusion, how do we negotiate our work? Because oftentimes, even though we are the expert, we're tooting our own horn, when it comes to asking for the price, then we kind of just plan, actually really remember, oh, we undervalue ourselves, and we're gonna put in all this labor and all this time, and we're gonna just ask for it. So how do we confidently, unapologetically ask for what we want? And that.
Great question. So I'll repeat the question for the folks who are online. How do we negotiate our work?
My short answer is you don't negotiate. You make a statement about value and you can step into that. I would say 2020, 2021, I made a lot of money as a TEI consultant. And I think there isn't a framework for valuing and pricing in your space, which makes it scary, but I think it's an opportunity for you to ask for exactly what you want. Negotiating and whittling down and going back and forth with people, I think is a slippery slope that we have to be really careful about. Because the reality of it is, if we saw what other consultants were getting paid for things that are far less valuable, we would be stuck. So it's scary, but I think we should stick to our prices, probably at 20%.
And I agree with those comments, because we do undervalue ourselves, but also what I want you to suggest to the audience is when you're the decision maker hiring someone and they happen to be a person of color, don't negotiate down because they are a person of color. I was Fulton County attorney. We hire people who do diversity, all kinds of training sessions for us. I made it a point to go find minority contractors. And I made the point to tell them what I wanted to do, day-long activity, team building, exercises, and whatever they sent back to me as a fee, I accepted. But I want you to know that every time I got a fee quote from someone of color, it was a third of what other people were charging for the same services. So don't do that to yourself. And if you are the decision maker, don't do it to them. Take the price. If it's within the market, take a price. Say thank you and utilize it where it's possible. But we have a tendency to all services, every service. But I don't do that anymore. I'm not the stage. If you want good legal services, we're gonna pay. Not gonna pay legal scholars, but it's okay.
I think one of the things is that sometimes we don't know what to charge. And that is the value, again, bring that to your network. I have some of my peers that maybe they speak and they teach online learning and they develop courses like that. I do, and sometimes I'll call them on the phone, I'll send a text, hey, I gotta respond to this contract real quick. What should I be paid for this? They say, give me the list of what you're doing, and they will respond back with some suggestions for me. But again, that's going back to leveraging the power of your network. Right, and start at the top.
Good morning. Well, first of all, I want to say this is a beautiful room. My name is Jennifer Barbosa. WeUp has been a great influence and connection. I want to share an experience that I had recently, sharing with you. And I would love to hear from you. If you've had similar experience, what I would imagine so, how do you respond? For me, summertime is usually a low time. And kids are not able to move and do business the way that I want to. I'm also in the white male dominated industry, in supply chain and manufacturing, doing supplies. And so I reached out to what I thought was a counterpart for partnering on a bid. And when I was introducing myself, I assumed it sounded like quite the honor of mine. And I said, there's a bid coming up, and I thought this might be an opportunity to introduce myself, very pleasant in the beginning. And then, sort of my company name and my information. He's like, well, I'm looking you up online. I'm sure, no problem, look me up. And the tone changed very good. And rather than asking about, no, I felt charged. And then he literally said, you are out of your league. This is not your business. And I'm not dealing with, you can't even compete. And, it came in a day that was already bad. And he literally took me to tears. But I have 3 mouths to feed. I've been in this industry longer than I even realized it, because my grandfather was an import export. My parents, I've come from a line of I grew up in a cleaning business. I know more than I should know about carpets, flooring. And I have very good personal relationship with manufacturers worldwide. I know that, but at that moment, I felt compounded because I'm constantly competing with white men who constantly look at me. I go on track. I'm a Black woman and I'm a single mother. I don't apologize for any of that, but also I know that that comes with a lot of judgments from my industry. How do you combat, protect yourself, shelter, and then come over? And what have you experienced? What did you do? How did you respond to that?
I got some things in. I've been where you were. I was divorced when my children were 3 and 6. I've been climbing the ladder ever since. They're 37 and 34. Been right where you. Okay, and I had to develop some thick skin. I used to have to talk a lot to show what I know so that you can understand something. There's always gonna be those people out there, okay? And just like my sister here said, if you believe in God, you know that the adversary comes to destroy your spirit. If he can break your spirit, you got everything else to be done after that. Okay, and so you have to be prepared for that. See the adversary as a human being right in front of your face trying to tear you. Okay, get yourself some thick skin. Pray for that. Surround yourself with other strong women. So when you have those moments, and we do, okay, I just don't have one. Now I don't want to fight. And then I gotta pray for God today. But yeah, surround yourself with some other strong women to speak life into your spirit when you get like that. Because that's not going to be. Okay, and you will survive. I promise you.
I have a real life solution to that. Get yourself a majority partner that you can use all of this. Establish a relationship with someone who values and appreciates you, has worked with you on another contract, seen your appreciation, and keep that partner. And call that partner up and say, there's a bid with the city of Atlanta for supplies, I want to submit, I got a relationship with such and such, would you do, and they will say yes. Can't make yourself fit everybody's little hole. You create your own. Develop your network, she said, and use it. I have had that problem a lot because I deal with areas, most Black women, and I'm a commercial real estate transactional attorney. And I've always dealt with minority firms. And there was always a perception that we were unqualified and not able to deal with work like that. And so when I went over $200 million airport deal that I just did, went to McGuire Woods, and they were a white law firm. I have, there's a minority male, Black male who's a partner. They need minority participation. Good. And they hey, let's go for it. And they said yes. So keep the relationship with the people that you have dealt with, brought you to the party, keep with those people and be successful. And then you turn around to that other person and say, you know, I'm about to know this, we got it.
Thank you for that. I think we had a question.
Hi, my name is Courtney. I'm an MBA student in the evening program. So thankful for today's program. It's been really affirming. My question is about trust. So how do you determine trust in the workplace? Who to trust, who to share those insecurities with? So they definitely have people outside of work, but sometimes work, I'm just trying to determine. So I would love your advice on that. Thank you again.
So the question is, how do you find trust in the workplace?
You don't need friends at work. And my mom used to tell me that, and I thought she was just being difficult. You really don't. I mean, you know, we have to walk this fine line, right? Like, sometimes we don't want to go to happy hour. Sometimes we really don't care about her weekend, but sometimes we just don't want to be involved. But those can still be boundaries for you while you still have, you know, enough warmth to get through your day. And I would just say, you know, we all have complicated, complex lives. Share your own, you know, at risk. I don't, you know, I've had situations in recent months where I was shared a small bit of personal information that wasn't super private, but then it got back to me from somewhere else, and it just really disturbed me. I'm fairly private at work, but I also recognize that in a majority white space, that can be perceived as wrong, right? So you have to sort of strike that balance for me. I think we all know what you're talking about, and you don't have to use the word trust in any professional relationship. That's my approach. You don't have to be an ice queen. You don't have to be angry, but you also don't have to tell them about your personal medical challenges or family emergencies. when you go on vacation, you go on vacation, there's nobody wants to speak up, for example. And those things are difficult, but that's my approach, and others may have other ideas.
Yeah, I feel very similar, and I think when you asked the question, we all looked at each other and was like, you know. I would say that you can have relationships in the workplace, but you need to make the distinction between what a professional friendship is versus your personal. In the workplace, when you're talking about trust, it's basically, I can rely on you to do what you committed to doing. We have that level of trust. That is very different than I talk to my girlfriend, I pour out my heart, and I'm extremely vulnerable. So just learning to make that distinction between professional relationships and then your personal relationships. But it sounds like you're in a good place because you said you do have people outside of the workplace that you can talk to. Lean in there. Also, I work with like an executive coach. So when I need to talk about workplace specific problems, that's who I can go to, not necessarily my colleagues to vent about work. So yeah, just kind of learning to draw those down.
Young lady that's standing up. Yes.
Here, from a branch or a very small town. I understand about the white, but what did you do when you got the black community coming from your head and you didn't want everybody to be along? Cause I'm a very outgoing person, but I'm really like my owner. And it's not just like, I like to work alone. I got a small team that I can trust, that I can. And I get stuff done, a lot of stuff done by myself and with my team. For example, we have started keeping up with river system for Georgia river system. We processed 120 people in 12 days. Then we need another person. And everybody trying to figure out in my whole time, what am I doing? You know, what they trying to apply. I'm very selective because I know that the sharks are real, especially the small town, it's a whole different politics. It's just like, if you go down the street and go the wrong way, you're gonna be on charts. Like me, I'm getting to the point that I, frustrated and short tempered. And I don't wanna be like that because I'm a very lovely, nice person. But if you question my gaze and my salvation, my I just didn't know, because I'm to the point where then I was critical, I snapped, like, I did on Facebook, and I and I believe it, and I don't have no filter when I'm mad, and everybody that knows me, know that she got a feeling like that. But then they were like, well, you gotta be professional, you gotta be a different person, you gotta turn another a different cheek. I ain't got no more cheeks, I'm not done. So I just wanted to do what I do in peace. I don't want you to bother with me because I can make my knowledge. I do this stuff again. I know that this is not what I'm doing, but you will stick on my name. But no, my mouth will be in trouble. And I gotta say, I got this heart, but this mouth, it didn't feel good. And I don't care if you can never say it. I don't care. Because you should not, because I said you were involved. And so how do you filter that into professional? Because people would try you all the way up to the front door, and I be trying to read, stop, all this. I ain't got no more patience for it, because I want you to be great over there. Let me be great with my life, and I said in my life, and you said in your life. Don't call me, don't try to figure out what I'm doing, just leave me alone. And I just don't know how to say it, the proper way. Because I got a few children, like I said, the other side of me wins. The salvation side is, I'm trying to get pregnant with. I just want to know, how do you do that, get your point across out, calling much to children, whatever you say in that home.
So I'm gonna paraphrase that for the folks. We gave us a lot, I'm just gonna go share a little bit. So it sounds like the question I'm asking is, how do you be professional when an adversary is someone who looks like you? Does that sound? First of all, I'm getting in Tiara, you have to settle down. Okay, I'm speaking to you because I have some fire in me too. Okay, first of all, you don't have to apologize to anyone for your business model. If you're working around people who you don't trust and you build a model with your team, that's your team, that's your business model, that's your business. Okay, other people may not ever accept that. Now, you said that you work with a team. On those days that you know you're about to go to attend, have someone else at the mic, have someone else on the phone, have someone else from your team that can speak for you, because that just might not ever be your forte. Okay? That might not ever be your forte. You cannot go on social media with it. People don't understand that. They don't understand that you have a bad day. They don't understand that the person that you're acting at legitimately deserves it. It doesn't come across that way. All right, so find someone on your team that can speak for you, that you trust, and put them up front. Okay, and you work on those points. You have a lot of good points because I'm hearing that you're very effective in what you do. Okay, but you have to move forward. You're not put on this earth just to be good at that one thing. You're put on this earth to grow and develop others, and to be a good steward over the information so that you can spread that. Okay, that's kingdom building for real. You cannot build a kingdom if you have a high head. And like I said, I can go there too. So I'm preaching to the choir. So I had to do that. I had to put people up when it wasn't a good day for me. Or when I knew in the back of my mind, I was facing someone who really didn't care for me, or they said something negative about me that I know about, okay? And so please do that. And I promise you, you're gonna grow, but it takes work, okay? We all know where we short at, right, everybody? Okay, and so we have to work on the things that we're short at, so we can be better at the things that we're really good at.
Because you're in a room of people like you, I strongly suggest that you get somebody to work with you on executive coaching skills. Because you sound like a passionate, effective person who's never going to be perceived like that as long as you have that anger, hostility approach. And you need some help with working through it, because it's just one of the things that sometimes people have weakness in their strength. And you can locate people down in the range too. I got a cousin there and he stepped off the city council, and his last name was Tucker. And I was, she was one of the first black folks elected down there in the city council. Wait, you know that? Actually, not even something I have to. But what I want to do is talk to her. She knows how, because of the finesse she had to learn to be a politician, she might also refer you to someone else, but I also want you to acknowledge it back. That's a truism. The craft theory is still in effect. There are always people who are willing to pull you down when you're going up, but you can't go to the bottom of the barrel with the attitude that you want to take out on it. And having someone show you, not the oops-ah moment, how to tell you to stop it. You have to stop it. You have to ignore it. You have to go somewhere else. You have to do 10 times better for it to shut up. But you can't, you have to learn the finesse. And I just want to encourage you. I see positivity, and I don't see it with the manifestation of it myself.
Okay. Thank you for all the insights. Shavonda, and founder of Maybe Grant Consulting, MBA, with my question is really from an entrepreneurship, management, leadership perspective. What are your thoughts when we are managing those that don't look like us? And also, what are your thoughts when we are mentoring and hiring and bringing in and pouring into those that do look like us? Us reaching back and trying to support and teach and bring folks along on our journey.
When that comes.
So just to repeat, this is a two-part question. The first part being some tips and advice on managing people who do not look like you. And the second part being what are some tips and suggestions for reaching back, giving back to mentors and hires who do look like us. I don't make a distinction between a color, a male or female. Everybody gets trained the same, everybody gets treated the same, everybody gets the same access to opportunities. Some of those people will always grab and grow and appreciate it, and others won't, no matter what color it is. Okay, so you give that, you go that 101%, if that's in you to give to everyone, and you're gonna see who grabs it and who doesn't.
So that's a follow-up question. When you're managing people who say don't look like you, what are the challenges that you face? That you want to do?
I'm not particularly facing any challenges, but I would just imagine, if you're a Black woman owning an organization, and if you're having some folks that may report to you that think just because they're of a certain gender or color, they be reporting you, although they report to you. Sometimes there's some power dynamics that are there, and so just to get your insight, I haven't experienced that, but as you grow, you start being exposed to different opportunities, so I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
That speaks back to your leadership skills. That's a leadership issue, and so you're gonna have to learn how to deal with different types of followers in your journey as a leader, and that's where you're gonna grow. There's always gonna be those people who look at us, and because we may be the same race, don't give us the same respect. At the same token, there may be people of another race who looks at us and won't give us the same respect. So don't look at it as a diversity classification, and just go about your leadership journey and be the best possible leader that you can be, and learn how to teach and lead different types of followers based upon how they learn, and you'll be great.
Only thing I'll add is, examine and make sure there's no people pleasing going on that's causing you to struggle to hold someone accountable, not you specifically, but anybody who's in a management position, because sometimes unchecked people pleasing causes us to be passive in our leadership and our management, and we will let people get away with things. So a lot of times we point the finger, like, they don't respect me, they don't do this, they don't do that. But you have to look at yourself, why am I not holding this person accountable for being late and insubordinate? Why am I not fully stepping into who they're paying you to be, a manager, a leader, whatever your role is? So sometimes you have to do some self-examination too.
I'll just share, anyone who's ever, the way that I sort of, so you don't see a difference, I do see a difference. The difference is more so in my head, I try to not express it externally. But the way that I sort of anticipate and try to manage ahead of some of the challenges you're getting at, anyone who's ever reported to me, their whole experience is filtered through two things: transparency and accountability. Everything we talk about, we sort of visit that as a theme. So in the instance that and this is how I had a young, right, very ambitious leader who may overstep, we bring it back to accountability and transparency. What are we working toward? Who are you accountable to? What are the goals? And that helps to sort of objectively scrub out the emotion around it and really make it very clear around what we should be doing, what we shouldn't. The distinction that I do make is, especially for young women of all colors, but especially younger women of color, is it is incumbent on the space for them to ask questions or express any discomfort that they are. I know that if I don't make that space, they're swallowing and they're struggling in silence. So that's the difference for me. But other than that, you just kind of try to create some boundaries so that it's not emotional, it's not personal, and you are, to the extent possible, delivering the same management experience for everyone else.
Gonna go old school again, and that is, remember the golden rule? That everybody like you want to be treated yourself, and as long as you use that rule, principle, as a manner that doesn't require color or gender application. You just treat people the way you want to be treated. You get to be a good leader when people follow you, not because you say you're good.
We have time for more questions. You can go first and then you can go next time.
My name is Delana Hill, and the 2-year full-time MBA program. I definitely felt everyone with what they grads. We had a class of 158, and there were 7 visibly Black students. There were others who identified, but no one thought they were Black, other than us who knew they were. So, but my experience.
I just would like to go on the record, say you're cheating. I'm sorry.
Always do within consortium and just say that we went to the Black MBA program because our dean was Black, our associate dean was Black, and it was amazing. And the experience here at Wayquetta has been the best that I've had thus far in my educational experience. But I want to say thank you for what you shared, and my question is about multiple streams or sources of income. So I am a management consultant by trade, my background is in financial services, and I am also a doula, which is very different. It's how can one show up in all of those spaces as a thought leader without confusing people? Because it takes your right and left brain. So I have just some information that we have.
So the one thing you have to do is be extremely time managed, and you need to know where to show up. And which hat to wear. We have another member, her name is Mia Mark, and Mia taught me that. I have been some places and she'll send me a text and say, do not say you do such and such at that event. And I'm like, okay, she said, don't have time to talk to you later. And so you have to gain that wisdom, because some people think that, oh, you're a jack of all trades, you're a master of none. And truly, we as women, we know we can do 10 things, talk on the phone and birth the baby, right? Because we've done it. So you're gonna have to gain that wisdom first on when to show up and who to tell what you do and what space. I have that problem all the time. Okay, inside of the pandemic, I took one of my passions. I'm creative. I used to sew for a living all the way I was in college. That's how I made money. I went back to it with the pandemic, we're at home, and so I started cutting t-shirts and designing them. Start putting them on Instagram. Oh my God. It has grown into a business that I don't have time to run. It's called a custom t-shirt. Okay, so you know what, last night, all right, after I was preparing, looking over this, I was cutting 37 t-shirts from because I couldn't find anybody to come in to help me. All right, now, so somebody else say, hey, you don't talk about the t-shirts anymore on Instagram. Well, it wasn't the platform, I'm giving you the season to do that. Okay, and so you're gonna have to use wisdom, use trial and error, look at how people respond to you, but you have to be time managed. Again, you may want to have another spokesperson if you have other people working for you or a partner in some of those other businesses, be the front of that particular business. Okay, and to avoid people's perceptions that could hurt.
I would share a lot of the same advice. So 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, I'm working as a regional director for the Department of Labor. And then on the weekends, I'm doing life and career coaching and mindset coaching, and then I manage an Airbnb. That's what different hats that you wear. I think it always works when there's something that's authentically connected to each work or each type of work that you're doing, because we all have different aspects of our personality. And when you're doing something that's a reflection or it's a manifestation of something that's truly authentic to you, even though it may be completely different, you can still show up fully who you are. So that would be one thing. And then just like I was saying, you want to make sure you're not conflating things. Like in my coaching, I incorporate different spiritual practices, and I am a woman of faith. I can show up like that at the Department of Labor, or only to a certain extent. So just making sure you're keeping, clear boundaries and everything. But I think it always works when you're doing stuff that's authentic to who you are.
So unfortunately, in the interest of time, we do have a networking session set up after this. So if you do have additional questions, please feel free to meet and greet our panelists and get questions there. And we're going to close with this. But before we do, I'd like for everyone to give a round of applause. Okay, and so I do invite up Antoinette Bell. She is the CEO of she's the CEO and founder of the Women's Entrepreneurial Opportunity Project, and she has been
You all know that I'm a woman of few words. I want to thank everybody for being here this afternoon. And the result of this is a vision, because I met Dr. Sarasoti. She volunteered to be part of the WEOP board, so I'm going to thank you for being part of the board. We're not going to talk about the power of the network. It's like this became possible because of our network. Dr. Sarasoti was speakers, I had speakers, we all wanted to come together and bring all of our speakers together. We have Emory students here, we have WEOP members, we have a whole family. So I really, and we are intentional about what we do as an organization. When we have events, we like to showcase our members, we like to have our photographers, and just being intentional about how we support each other. Our model is women supporting each other, and it's so important. So I want to thank everybody for being here, and for our speakers, I want to give you guys the gifts. Now I want to showcase one of our women-owned small businesses. Jacqueline, can you come up for a second? Okay, because we have a small, she can bring the gifts as well. And also our photographer, Sharice Richards, she is a woman-owned business. Just to make sure that we use Sharice, I mean, her product is exceptional. I mean, when Sharice takes pictures, every picture looks good. I know how we always, I have to have pictures taken in Photoshop, but now with Sharice. So thank you. Also, my brother's here, he's on the camera. The back, she's a technical director. She is also part of the Acosta. And in our audience, we have our board of directors and our advisory board. So we have to stand up for a moment to say hello. Our advisory board and board. Thank you all of this paper. And for our speaker, we would like to do a small gift for staff. About the business.
Sure.
So, our members who've been doing this for a long time about this here, so thank you for being part of our.
And thank you guys for all the gems. So one thing that said there really resonated with me, and that's having a mission and having a ministry. And so I think my mission is really to recreate the skincare industry just in general, so that we're manufacturing in a way things are healthy and good for us and bringing together science plus plant-based together. My ministry is vaginal health. And so, right, we need it. We need education, we need resources, we need to know what's best, we need products to stop stuffing so much crap in them that we're having reactions and they're looking at us like nothing's wrong with their product and there is. So this started with the vagina friendly bath soap. So our Lux Balmain is in here for the panelists. And then there's also an organic rose oil. All the products are organic, vegan, cruelty-free, fragrance-free, dye-free. I own the manufacturing as well as these are also vulva friendly. And then also a soap. So this is a beauty bar. It can be used on face and body and vulva. Oh, and then the bag, because it's super cute.
All our members, so they're going to say thank you, and it's also for our members. Thank you. And then one day, when I was watching, one was one.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for coming and just share. I have had the honor of being the board chair coming up for the last, beginning of the year. But when I first spoke with Antoinette a couple of years ago about joining the board, it was a very selfish reason. I was in corporate and was pregnant with my youngest kid, and my dream was to be an entrepreneur. And the people I was around at the time was like, oh, don't do corporate, you're a mom now, like, stay stable. And I wanted to surround myself with people that spoke entrepreneurship. And I use entrepreneurship very loosely for all entrepreneurs, whether it's you own a business, you've got your side hustle, or you bring an entrepreneurial mindset to your corporate, your nonprofit job. And so I found my key, I know, about find your network. You need to talk about finding those people that look like you. And it really gave me the confidence last year to actually quit my corporate job and to join entrepreneurship. And so I want to encourage those of you that are just being introduced to WEOP for the first time, come check us out, come find your network, come find your people, come find people that look like you, that have struggled with the same thing that you have. This is our first event with Emory, which is now a start to a longer partnership, but we have a lot of great business forums and conferences and just workshops. And so it's a place to go if you want to find those people and the expertise in the community to help you on your entrepreneurial journey. So I hope that is helpful, and yeah, thank you for being here.
Two more things before we start networking. First of all, I want to, we have members tonight? We have members now for a second. So when we do a networking session, be sure to connect with one of, right, be sure to connect with one of the VI members, and then thank you. Also, you're the best moderator in the city. So great, so Alma, thank you, because when I met Alma getting to Dr. Senator, we got on the phone and we hit it off, and she wants to share your vision for moving forward. And people starting. That went into that for the folks. So this vision that I have is more changed to our communities here. Here at is what I realized that as a woman of color, it is difficult to find places where we feel safe. And so one of the goals that I've always had is to build those places, those spaces, so that our students of color, and more importantly, it's my personal passion on women students of color, had a place or a network that they could go to and connections that they could make that they're not able to easily make an connection because they don't have faculty, staff, or people who look like them could help them build their network. So that's one of my personal goals and visions. So, and so I have my fast friends. Just to think about what does that look like? How can we bring these opportunities on campus? How can we bring them to our students here? How can we create mentorship programs? So there's a lot of ideas that we're doing around, and once we've gotten this, like for us, this is the kickoff. This is just the beginning, right? So we know that there's a need for these spaces, a need to have these conversations, and we have access to the network. So we're hoping to bring this to the students, to the every community on a larger scale, to create this bigger network of women of color who are supporting each other. With that being said, I want to say thank you again for coming, attending, and asking such great questions. Thank you again for our panelists. Amazing.
Yeah.
But we're going to open up now for a networking session. So please feel free to interact with people you don't know and make it friends.